We'll get back for more.
Yeah, we are all set. We are expecting delegates to arrive from their various accommodation facilities. So as you can see, all the seating arrangements have been done, labeling have been done. So what we are waiting for is delegates to arrive, then quickly we zoom into the main program. We are going to start with a check service, after which we're going to have the first section. The first section is where the chairman will call conference to order, and after which we will receive a welcoming address from the regional chairman. Then national chairman himself will also address us. Per our constitution, the national treasurer is supposed to give statement of accounts. General secretary will also give the state of the party itself. We also have a message from our group in parliament, the parliamentary caucus. Honorable Chairman Sabusu will also speak. And then we also have a message from His Excellency the former President, John Ejekum Kufuor. And then we also receive a message from His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Alhaj Mahmoud Bawumia. Then the first half will come to an end. We'll just go and have lunch, and then we'll come into the second half. That is where we're going to have the consideration for proposals for constitutional amendment. Then His Excellency the President will speak, and then we'll bring conference to an end. Tomorrow, then we all depart from Kumasi.
So there you have it. The National Youth Organizer of the NPP, Henry Nana Boakye, speaking there. The party is expected to consider some proposed amendments to the party's constitution while considering a number of issues aimed at helping the NPP to win the 2024 election in what they're calling breaking the eight. It says it has put in place all adequate measures to ensure there is maximum security throughout the conference. Delegates have begun arriving from all parts of the country in the Western region. The CEO of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahin Edu, has also been speaking with Roland Walker. Let's listen to what he told him.
We have to look at our governance structure. There's the NPP structure itself. That's one thing that we are coming to examine, and also the various processes that lead to, selection of our leadership, right from the flag bearer through the national executives, regional, down to the grassroots, that's the unit, the polling station executive. So it's imperative that we've gone out of government before, and we've come back into government. But now we've learned a lot of lessons which will help us to shape, this whole structure of the NPP governance.
Well, thank you very much, Chief Executive for Cocoa Board, but also a council member for the Western region, former member of parliament as well. But it's just pure organization, making sure the right things are done. Now, we do have a number of actions that need to be undertaken. We have the media well represented, so you can find that a number of the media personnel have also made their presence felt, but it is across board. The various sections of the media of the Republic of Ghana who are making sure that they cover this big event of the governing party to make sure that the right things are done as far as this is related. Now, it's just early hours yet, but it looks like the delegates are trickling in. The observer, those who have been invited, also are making sure that their presence are felt here. Security is still very tight on the ground.
Right, so we're still staying with the NPP 2021 National Delegates Conference, where ahead of the event, the General Secretary of the party, John Mbwedu, assured Guineans the NPP's commitment to developing the country. Right, at the moment, I understand officials from the National Democratic Congress are giving their solidarity message in the conference, at the conference, I beg your pardon. Let's take a listen to what the NDC is saying.
And consider the many economic issues that plague, afflict, and agonize the good people of this country presently. Your Excellency, currently teachers are suffering and students are suffering. Doctors are suffering and nurses are suffering. Farmers are suffering and drivers are suffering. Market women are suffering and Ghanaians are suffering. Yet again, we are aware that you plan to impose on the suffering masses of Ghanaians another set of draconian taxes in the next couple of weeks. Your Excellency, we plead that these are your suffering compatriots. You would again reconsider your decision to impose a 1.75% e-levy on the already overburdened good people of this country that are always crying because it is not going well. Your Excellency, delegates of the New Patriotic Party, we wish you a fruitful conference, and we are praying that inshallah on the 7th of January 2022 you would hand over a peaceful country to His Excellency.
Thank you very much, National Democratic Congress, for such a great
and we are hopeful speech that will hand over this country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kwame Zu.
Thank you, Kwame Zu. We are most grateful. Thank you. Thank you, NDC, for the show of comradeship and friendship.
The election is in 2024.
NDC for Nyamisha. Kwame Zu, God bless you.
Thank you, Kwame Zu. Next, our friends from the GCPP are also ready. The delegation is led by Kofi Owusu Omar, Ashanti Regional Chairman. Chairman Omar, please, if you are ready, conference is ready.
Choboy! 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 Amampanyi otiedom Bema Kukudufo, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Vice President Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, Mr. Delegates, Party Chairman Mr. Freddie Blay, Party General Secretary Mr. John Buadu, Chief of Staff Mami Fremo Paris, and the last one, my own uncle, Mr. Osei Mensah, Ashanti Regional Minister. Choboy, President, Dr. Relate Simifan Jama first. Me wa noma nine ana me catch Ghana. Yanyina yanim se e bapatia ako amagana konanim amagana.
Right, earlier we heard from the General Secretary of the NDC in the Ashanti region, Kwame Zu, speaking there as part of solidarity messages from some other parties in the country, showing comradeship ahead in the NPP's National Delegate Conference. But ahead of the conference itself, the General Secretary of the party, John Buadu, assured Ghanaians that the NPP is committed to the development of the country.
The proposal that came before us was close to 120. But you realize that there are some that are double. The proposal may be the same from individuals. So we put all together and put it in one whole. Out of the 120 proposals that came before us, we've been able to tease out about 91 motions. So I don't know where you got your 38 proposals before. We have close to 91 motions. As to the individual proposals and the concerns, that one it's not for me to discuss. Everybody can have his reason to disagree or agree with one proposal or the other. And it is up to the delegates to determine what exactly the way forward is. I'm not in a position to profile even a position as to whether the proposal is correct or not. Yeah. The only thing that came up which National Steering Committee and the National Executive Committee affirmed was the fact that this conference is a party government conference. It was, as a result, all our minds, all our thinking, all our efforts should be geared towards party and government. As a result, we ban all internal elections and campaign and all that. That is to the extent of a proposal that comes close to what you are saying. But there's no proposal that says that anybody should relinquish his position or the other. Our party said that even if you are incumbent, you are not going to have total control in how the elections are organized. We almost every time in such situations bring out rules and regulations, and we form election committee that will be manned by individuals who are not contesting, to be manned by men and women of integrity to run the campaign. So there's nothing like having incumbency advantages or ensuring level playing field. But of course, as the incumbent general secretary, there are a lot of things that I will do on behalf of the party, because the mandate given to me in Koforidua in 2018 will end in 2020. So this conference, for instance, by that mandate, our address conference, if you consider it as incumbency advantage, too bad. God, that is what it is. The directive that we issued out has been observed. I have seen individual aspirants or potential aspirants pulling down their own billboards, and I think that it's been very successful. On the part of, for instance, the vice president, he's a sitting vice president. I don't think that the directive says that a ticket that was used in 2020, because of this directive, we should pull it down. So if you see such billboards, that is an old billboard that was used in 2020, there's no point in going to pull it down.
We're still live at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium in the Ashanti region, where the NPP is holding its 2021 National Annual Delegates Conference. Roland Walker is leading a team that will take you there, bring you sights and sounds of what is going on there. You're watching the live coverage of the 2021 NPP National Delegates Conference. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you more.
We were totally crushed when our child was diagnosed with cancer.
We knew we just couldn't afford the treatment. And then you came to our rescue through the Camel Antiseptic Liquid, because we care initiative.
Join us again to fight childhood cancer. All you have to do is to buy Camel Antiseptic Liquid, and we will use 10 pesos to support the Because We Care initiative to help a child with cancer. Give 10 pesos, give hope. This advert is FDA approved.
Nanso apafo no so why na menso mano why no bekoma mio
at 11:30 a.m. and repeat on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. on TV3.
We were totally crushed when our child was diagnosed with cancer.
We knew we just couldn't afford the treatment. And then you came to our rescue through the Camel Antiseptic Liquid, because we care initiative.
Join us again to fight childhood cancer. All you have to do is to buy Camel Antiseptic Liquid, and we will use 10 pesos to support the Because We Care initiative to help a child with cancer. Give 10 pesos, give hope. This advert is FDA approved.
This Sunday on Mentor X, it's the final eviction night.
You're welcome back to the program. Reminder that this is still the live coverage of the NPP's 2021 Annual Delegates Conference. Now, ahead of the conference, if you remember, the NPP, the National Steering Committee of the party, banned the display of paraphernalia and internal campaign activities that sought to make advocacy for individual aspirants the Ashanti regional minister also vowed to pull them down. But let's go back to the conference grounds and for some live feed.
And in Parliament, the party won 169 out of 275 seats. That was very pulverizing by all accounts. As I indicated in Cape Coast in 2017, and also at Koforidua in July 2018 and in Kumasi 2019, at the time there were about 17 seats that we could have won nationwide if we had worked slightly harder, devoid of our own internal bickerings and conflicts. I urged us to recognize that we also had about 20 seats that we had snatched from the NDC with very marginal numbers, and stated that we had to secure the numbers of seats that we had in Parliament before foraying into enemy territory. I thought that was conventional wisdom. Unfortunately, the men and women of the grassroots did not listen to us. The party did not listen. There are constituencies here in Ashanti region that we won in 2016, by which we could have yet increased our figures in both the presidential and parliamentary elections with a little bit of push. Indeed, in the lead-up to, and indeed in the 2020 general elections, we must admit that the party let our guards down. We chose to hold our parliamentary primaries not early enough. There were many squabbles and quarrels that ensued from the conduct of our parliamentary and presidential parliamentary primaries, which we chose to conduct rather late, too close to the general elections, which indeed tended to distract the party. There was very little time to heal the wounds that we inflicted on ourselves, and we carried the bruises, disaffection, and enmity into the 2020 elections. In the meantime, our foot soldiers were disillusioned and serial callers were rendered rather rudderless. As a party, we should confront the reality and not pretend that everything is right with us. The conduct of elections at all levels of the party is increasingly polarizing the party, and it appears that those who should be leading us are perhaps looking elsewhere. In the 2020 elections, the party, by unanimous agreement, chose the incumbent president as our flag bearer. What would have happened if we had engaged in the bitter presidential primaries alongside the bitter parliamentary primaries that we conducted? The effect, without doubt, would have been the loss of more seats in Parliament. As I said at Cape Coast, which position was concurred by His Excellency President Ajekum Kufuor, and which point I reiterated at Koforidua 3 years ago, we should do serious introspection into the things that are holding us down. If you are able to unleash the full potentials of our party, the other parties will find it extremely difficult to create space for themselves in contemporary Ghanaian politics. This can only happen if we bury the hatchet that we use against one another. We have our fate in our hands. Mr. Chairman, Excellency the President, at the risk of sounding overly repetitive, I would like to strongly suggest that after the display of muscle at Koforidua, and after the acrimonious late selection of parliamentary candidates, and the increasing monetization of our internal politics, we must pause to reflect on the method that we choose, that we employ in choosing our party leaders at the various rungs of the party structures. MPP, let all in the party who have ears to listen. Let all in the party who have eyes open their eyes widely. And we see and hear that in all the established democracies, the parties are run by professional administrators at all levels of the structures of the parties. Presidential candidates, once they win the slots of their parties, appoint the chairman, the vice chairman, organizers, fundraisers, electioneering campaign managers, etc. When a candidate wins and wants to retain such persons, he or she is at liberty to do so. If the candidate loses in the national election, he hands over the party to the administrators who hold the fort until a new election is held. Going forward, let us introspect and reflect, since admittedly the elections that we hold, including the previous one at Koforidua, and what we intend to conduct next year, beginning with polling station executives through electoral area, constituency, regional to national executive officers, have the unfortunate tendency of creating and widening cracks in the party. Rather than helping to build a solid united party, these elections increasingly are breeding factionalism and tearing the party apart. We claim that we are Democrats and that after such elections we are able to patch up and unify our front. The facts on the ground do not support this claim because even the party, it is winner takes all. Losers are left alone to lick their wounds. And that is why our internal elections is, to borrow the words of former President John Dramani Mahama, becoming a do or die affair. I'm not oblivious of the charge under Article 55 of the 1992 Constitution, which provides, and I quote, the internal organization of a political party shall conform to democratic principles, and its actions and purposes shall not contravene or be inconsistent with this Constitution or any other law, unquote. However, I'm fortified by the imperatives of Article 55(9) of the 1992 Republican Constitution, which provides, and I quote again, the members of the National Executive Committee of a political party shall be chosen, and the operative word there is chosen. They shall be chosen from all the regions of Ghana. As I have been insisting in our previous conferences, a further interrogation of this provision should lead to a conclusion that the selection of party officers does not need to be solely by election. We must explore other means which the parties in more established democracies resort to, including consensus, acclamation, persuasion, and even rotation. Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, 4 years ago at Cape Coast, I related to a problem in the various constituencies involving some constituency officers and their members of parliament. Soon after the inauguration of members of parliament in 2017, some constituency officers started conspiracies to remove some members of parliament, including even first-time legislators. Such negative activities distract the focus of the parliamentarians and negatively affect attendance at parliament. And yet, we need the members of parliament in these days of cliffhanger politics. We need all our members of parliament in parliament to transact government business. If government business is not considered and approved, government cannot perform. If our government does not perform, the Ghanaian people will not vote for our president and our party. That is why, for the umpteenth time, I asked the party to pause and consider the repercussions of these intrigues, which have started as early as 2021, less than 1 year into the swearing in of new members of parliament. We must consider the repercussions of our actions on the fate of the party in the next presidential and general elections. In 2009, when we lost the elections and went into opposition, it became abundantly clear that the good people of Ghana, that the MPP parliamentary group were always winning the debate in parliament, even though we did not have the numbers. Today, the burden of defending the party in parliament has come to rest on the shoulders of very few people because of the constant peeling off of the very experienced and astute members of parliament. This, I must re-emphasize, is unhelpful to the growth and development of the new patriotic party. Ladies and gentlemen, compatriots, in 2023, the party may yet again engage in a national exercise to choose our parliamentary candidates. If there is one process that often inflicts wounds on the party, it is our parliamentary primaries. Oftentimes, after such not well-guided exercises, we inflict serious wounds on ourselves. Even those who eventually emerge victorious, only emerge victorious and as leaders of factions in the party, and uniting the entire party becomes an almost impossible task. We should recognize that the parliamentary party today is at a critical juncture, at a precipice, and if we don't handle the process of choosing our parliamentary candidates well and end up losing more than 1/2 of our sitting MPs, as we did in 2020, if we do not stop the intrigues that have started in the backyards of certain members of parliament, even in these early days, Mr. President, there will be tragic consequences for the party in 2024. It is the reason why the National Party should own the process of the selection of candidates in order to avoid any derailment in the forward march of the party. In this regard, I would want to propose to the party that the constituencies should be encouraged to the largest extent possible to adopt the incumbent members of parliament for the purpose of the next general elections as any free-for-all election that is not guided or guarded will take over our great party. It is important to sound this early so that the necessary steps could be resorted to in order to salvage the cause of the party. There is wisdom in the adage, once bitten, twice shy. We in the MPP have not been bitten once, we have been bitten twice, and we must learn useful lessons. Mr. President, this conference is not intended to conduct any elections. It is for stock taking. Let us ponder and reflect upon 5 years of MPP administration. Our achievements are legion. Our economic growth, the GDP growth through the planting for food and jobs, the country is now self-sufficient in the production of basic staples. We have cleaned up the banking sector. We have spent over 21 billion to save the deposit of 4.6 million depositors. We have attained a trade surplus for the first time in 20 years. Ghana's sovereign rating have climbed up under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, unseen for the 8 years under Mills and Mahama. We have expanded the school feeding program. LEAP has been expanded to accommodate 150,000 more beneficiaries. NAPCO has been established and has recruited over 100,000 graduates who would otherwise be unemployed. We have employed over 350,000 to render service in public space. Teacher training allowances have been restored. Nurses training allowances have been restored. All these things have been done. Mr. President, government has provided over 600 million COVID fund for small-scale businesses. Government has saved the NHIS from collapse by reducing the arrears to service providers. Your government, fellow conferees, has abolished fees for postgraduate medical training. You have expanded capitation grants, and indeed, the gross international reserves today for Ghana stand at over $10.7 billion, enough to provide for 4.9 months import cover. That is unprecedented in the history of this country. For us in Ashanti region, the maternity block of Komfanache Teaching Hospital started by General I.K. Achampong in 1975, and which has been left to rot for over 45 years, has had a new lease of life. Construction has started in earnest. Lake Busumchi Road, the constituency of the regional minister, is being expanded and dualized. The Kokoping Anyang Kwanta Road and Anyang Kwanta Obuasi roads are being constructed. The Mampong Kofiasi Road is being constructed. In fact, construction is about completed. The Insuta Biposo Akia Efigas Road is being constructed. The Swami interchange, the Oforikrom, as well as 2 other interchanges are going to be started in 2022. The Kumasi inner city roads are being given a facelift. The outer ring road in Greater Kumasi is going to start in 2022. The 100-kilometer outer ring road for Kumasi. Schools, hospitals are being expanded. Fellow Krukrudais, these are solid achievements that the MPP administration, led by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, have chalked through the various yearly work plans or budgets that have been introduced in and passed by Parliament. Only last Friday, December 17, 2021, the 2022 budget was sealed with the passage of its appropriation bill. So the budget was, after all, not rejected as some people wanted us to believe. The budget has been approved with the passage of the appropriation bill. Tomorrow, Monday, December 20th, 2021, the major revenue source, the e-levy, is going to be considered by Parliament. I want to believe that Parliament, after the unanimous passage of the appropriation bill, shall rise to the occasion to pass the major revenue source to feed the work program of the government for 2022. I'm hugely aware that every member of parliament needs roads in his constituency. Every member of parliament needs health facilities. Every member of parliament needs educational facilities. Every member of parliament needs electrification for their constituents. The e-levy will be a major booster for these endeavors, and that is why I believe that members of parliament would not vote against the e-levy in order not to deny their constituents of the benefits of basic infrastructure facilities. Conclusion. Now, these accomplishments that I've enumerated among the score of achievements chalked by your government constitute the solid rock upon which the future growth of this country shall depend. The country needs an MPP government to continue this effort. However, if we do not put our acts together and act in one accord, we would surrender power. The history of 2008 should guide us. Mr. President, on Thursday, December 2nd, 2020, Mr. President, it is the reason why I reiterate the call for introspection and reflection, especially how we conduct our parliamentary primaries. I want to sound this caution early because we have enough time to do what is right. Mr. Chairman, those of us assembled here today have the power to rebuild this party and reposition it for success in 2024 election. In much the same way, those of us herein assembled have the power to dim the light of the party and blow it apart. Fellow patriots, which direction shall we follow? Which direction shall we chart? In making the choice, let us be guided by the wise counsel of Mr. Ephraim, perhaps the greatest musicologist that Ghana has produced, in his composition of the signature anthem, Yenaraya Sasini, Eye Abodindi Mayen, Moja Nanam Fiegu Yadito Homayeno, Adu Mine Wososo, say a baby atuaso, Nimtien Sasso, Nkontokrani, Bedi Yamo. To wit, this is our land. It is an expensive land bequeathed to us. Our forefathers poured their blood to secure it for us. It is now our turn to continue to rebuild. This ingenuity and dishonesty will derail our progress. Now, relating this to our party today, we should boldly declare, this is our party. It is a noble party. Our forefathers, believing in the rightness of their cause, secured this party, this tradition for us with their blood and lives. It is now our turn to continue the building of the structure, its foundation secured for us. The lies, the hatred, the uncharitable deeds that we inflict on ourselves would certainly not advance the cause of this great Dankwabuzia Dombo tradition. Let us ponder and change to reposition the party. Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, patriots, members and supporters of our great party, I thank you very well for your kind attention and wish all of us a successful conference. Thank you all very much once again.
Thank you very much. Round of applause.
That was a message from the parliamentary caucus delivered by Majority Leader the Osei Mensah Bonsu there. In a few moments, we'll hear from former President John Agyekum Kufuor also at the grounds. But the conference, which has brought together over 6,000 delegates from various parts of the country, has raised questions about the conformity to the COVID-19 safety protocols. Roland Walker assesses the situation there and filed this report.
A critical aspect of what is happening here is making sure that for those who have the COVID cards, they then will be given access to get entry into the main arena of the Heroes Park. And the security detail that have been deployed here, not only by national security, by the party, but also the entire security structure, making sure that without the COVID card, you won't get access. So, for example, you'll find that a lot of these individuals who are coming in, whether you're wearing t-shirts, etc., there's an individual, for example, who can be given access because his COVID card is just on his phone. Now, the security are making sure that without the COVID card, you will not get entry. Without wearing of nose masks, you won't get access. And they're making sure that that is done. You don't remove the nose masks before you get in. And this is strict police as well as security procedure. Now, these gentlemen in blue are making sure that is adhered to totally. Now, you need to have the card, for example, and you need to make sure. Yeah. So for example, if you don't have the card, you just have, let's say, the card on the phone. It's a big problem. They're doing this to make sure that within these times of Omicron spreading, with these large numbers of delegates, as well as those who have been invited and observers for this national delegates conference of the party, they are in a position where this is well checked and adequately adhered to.
That was a picture painted by Roland Walker on the adherence to the COVID-19 safety protocol. Before Roland, there was a message by the Parliamentary Caucus, the Majority Leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu, speaking there. Some very strong words for the leadership of the party going into 2024 in order to tackle some internal wrangling in the party in the attempt to break the eight as well as overcome the current hung parliament we have in the country. Osei Mensah Bonsu was speaking there. The conference is under the theme, Resolve, Determination and Commitment to Ghana's Development. You're sure to stick and stay with all the media general platforms for live and extensive coverage of the 2021 National Delegates Conference of the NPP, currently ongoing in the Ashanti region. My name is Noble Crosby, and we're back with more, but after the break.
Ghana's biggest comedy night is here to party! From Nana's Incomplete 3, hashtag the party experience.
Christiana Law, when you were not married and someone married